Alright. Let's begin. Promise Rinascimento. Is that how you're supposed to pronounce it? Rinascimento? Rinascimento? I guess so.
いたのかったはずいぶんご挨拶だな。さっきからずっとここにいたじゃない。
そうだったか？
そうよ。昨日も一昨日もずっとここにいたわよ。
It did seem that way, come to think of it. My head seemed like it was full of fuzz. But I wasn't sleepy, or tired, or anything like that. My mind was very awake. But something was missing. Something important.
そういえば、ダルヤン・マユリはどうした？
あ
あんた、本当に大丈夫？何か不具合でもあったんじゃない？
This is definitely another timeline.
どういう意味だ？
橋田もまゆりも、ほら、そこにいるじゃない。
What? Oh, what?
え？
What? Also, Dara's wearing a shirt again. And Mayuri's wearing her dress. Huh? Wait, this is summer. Is this a flashback? What is happening?
僕のこの大きすぎる存在感を見落としてるなんて、どうかしてるぜ、オカリン。
Oh, that's right. Daru and Mayuri were always here, weren't they? No, it wasn't just them.
今日な、元気がないにゃ。フェイリスの萌え萌えチャームで元気を取り戻すんだにゃ。
Oh my god, I can't believe you. They almost got me. Oh my god, I know what's happening now. Oh my god, I know what's happening now. They almost got me. God, they almost got me. Oh my god, I'm gonna let the scene play out, but if it's what I think it is, oh my god, I can't believe I got like that.
京馬さん、僕にできることがあったら何でも言ってくださいね。
Ferris and Lukako, too. And
岡部倫太郎のためにその辺の食べられそうな草で私が特別ジュース作ってあげるよ。
edible grasses? Special juice? Okabe's about to have a fun time.
私もいるよ、岡部くん。
Suzaha and Mocha. All the Lab Mems were in the lab. Like they always were. That's right. This was my daily life. This was how I spent every day.
ふむ。全員いるようだな。では、ただいまより、第65,536回目の円卓会議を行う。お前たち、準備はいいか？
まったく、いつも暑苦しいわね。
お前こそ、いい加減そのおすましフェイスはやめるんだな、常習。
だから、私はあんたの助手になった覚えはないと言ったろうが。
オカリンとクリスちゃんはいつも仲良しだね。
イチャイチャしやがって、リア充爆発しろ。
ちょっと橋田、私がいつこいつとイチャイチャしたって言うのよ。
仲がいいほど喧嘩するって言うにゃ。羨ましいです。
Poor Lukako.
漆原ルカも一緒にイチャイチャすればいいじゃん。
Oh.
ダメです。僕にはそんなことできません。イチャイチャ
ねえ、お前たち、いつまで無駄話をしている。さっさと会議を始めるぞ。
ね、今日の議題は何なんだ？
そんなものは決まっている。今日の議題は
What?
議題は
岡部？
Something was wrong.
おかりん
Oh, here we go. Everything seemed the same, but
どうしたんおかりん。
that's right. It was cold.
今日も
I didn't feel it.
京馬さん。
No emotions.
岡部倫太郎
No warmth.
岡部くん。
Everyone was here. But it was cold and dark. Cold? Oh my god. Cold.
岡部くん。
What? Cold, 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 cold.
岡部倫太郎
It was so cold, it felt like the marrow of my bones was going to freeze.
京馬さん。
Like my bones were made of ice.
今日
Like all the blood in my body had been replaced with mercury.
おかりん。
Ooh, that was kind of sensual. It was cold. It felt like I was going to freeze at any moment. What was this?
もおかりん
Where was this place? Where was I?
岡部。
No way. No way. No way! No way! Are we? Oh my god! Where? I was right! I was right earlier! Oh my god! Where? Was I? What was I doing? I tried to speak, but the words didn't come out. It looked like I was lying on a bed. And a very hard one, at that. I slowly looked around. It wasn't the lab, and it wasn't my room. The room was old and gloomy. Of course, I'd never seen it before. What was I doing here? Oh, ow! Ow! Why? There was a terrible pain in my head, like someone had jammed an electrode into my brain. I tried to raise my hand as I lay there, but it was too heavy. It was like all the joints in my body had frozen. It took all my strength to slowly sit up. Each time I moved a little, my muscles screamed and pain through my whole body. Pain ran through my whole body. I missed the word, I'm sorry. After several minutes, I finally succeeded in sitting on the edge of the bed and looking down. I realized I was wearing a white gown, like hospital patients wear. There was some kind of equipment on my head, and the cables coming out of it were connected to a strange machine. What had happened to me? Just a moment ago, I was... That's right, Kagari. Kursu's memories had been downloaded into Kagari's head. We tried to erase them by overriding them with Kagari's own memories. And then... That's right, I remember now. The world line had shifted right after that. What had happened then? I tried to remember, but it was like my mind was filled with fog. For now, I needed to figure out where I was. I took off the headgear and got out of bed. And collapsed. This didn't make sense. Was I just dizzy after all that was going on in my head? I tried to stand up again. And I couldn't get any strength in my legs. I kept standing up and falling over. And in the end, I was only able to get up by grabbing the side of the bed. How could standing on my own 2 feet be so exhausting? Was I sick with some terrible disease? And then maybe I'd been in bed for several days? That's cool. That was actually a cool effect. I somehow managed to drag my weak legs through the door. It was bizarrely heavy. Or maybe it just seemed that way to me. It only opened after I put my full weight on it. The door was locked, but it seemed to be the kind that could be opened from the inside. I walked down the dark hallway, leaning up against the wall for support. At the end of the hall were stairs. I clung to the railing and slowly walked up them. At the end of the stairs, I found a hatch. Using the full strength of my back, I was just barely able to get it open. I was inside an old building. I walked down the crumbling hallway, still clueless as to what was going on, and finally found the door to the outside. Exhausted, I staggered outside, and I saw. Mountains of shattered rubble.
なんだこれ
Rows of destroyed, abandoned buildings. Exposed, twisted steel girders. At first, I thought it was a movie set. But it was all far too realistic for that. Also, that's so cool. The walls, the windows, the ceilings, everything was destroyed. Little bits of rubble covered the ground. There were cracks in the asphalt on the road, making it impossible to walk straight. And it wasn't just directly in front of me. I spun around a full 360 degrees and saw the same scene everywhere. I smelled oil. I smelled something burning. I looked up to the sky. It was dark and gloomy. I thought it might just be cloudy, but something else seemed to be going on. I could see the hazy outline of the sun beyond the black curtain that covered the sky. A violent pain in my throat made me cough. I quickly covered my mouth with the sleeve of my gown. My eyes stung. I tried once more to calm down and see if I could remember what happened, but I had no luck. All I knew for sure was that there had been a worldline shift when I deleted Kursu's memories from inside Kagari. The memories held by the Amadeus Kursu. And the memories implanted in Kagari. Maybe when whoever owned them changed, that is, whoever held Kursu's time machine theory, the world line changed with it. And this was another altered world line, which meant what I was seeing was I saw what looked like an ash-covered stick poking out of the ground in the corner of my eye. I slowly went to take a closer look. It was sticking out of the rubble, and at the tip, it split into 5 smaller branches. It was a hand. It was a human hand that had been scorched pitch black. A terrible feeling came rising out of my stomach. Suddenly, I thought I saw something move. Someone was there. Where? I listened carefully to try and pick them out. The other side of that big building. I could hear some kind of sound from over there. Was someone there? If there was, maybe they could tell me what the hell was going on. Trying my best not to make any sound, I peeked through the walls of the crumbling building. They were there, all right. There were people there. Lots of them. But they weren't people anymore. They were just human-shaped wads of meat, piled up into a mountain. And on top of the mountain was a pack of dogs. Something long and slick was hanging out of the dog's mouths. Intestines. They were eating them. They were eating the bodies. The stench was horrible. The sound of the flies was overwhelming. It was like something out of hell. My gaze met the vacant eyes of one of their bodies. One of its eyes fell out, and black insects crawled out of the empty socket. I ran away. I ran as fast as I could, stumbling forward on failing legs. Somewhere. Was there somewhere around here that was sane? But no matter how far I went, it was the same thing. Mountains of rubble. Rows of abandoned buildings. All I could see were the dead. There were no living humans. And then I found it. There were rows of huge buildings, which all looked as if they were about to fall over. The roads were full of cracks. There was a warped overpass sticking out of the ground. A few rows of iron and railroad ties. I knew it. I knew this place. It was only a shadow of its former self, but I knew it. This was Akihabara, which meant
ラボはどうなった？
Where was Mayuri? Where was Daru? Where was Ferris? What about Lukako or Suzuha? What happened to Maho and Kagari? Just as I ran towards the lab to find out, I heard footsteps behind me. Rough footsteps, stomping over the rubble, more than one set. They got louder and louder, and soon I saw them coming toward me from between the crumbling buildings. There were 3 of them. They each had assault rifles in their hands. When they saw me, they all pointed their guns at me. There was so much I wanted to ask them. There were things I wanted to know. But the only thought that came to me was that I needed to get away. But even as I tried to turn and run, my body refused to listen. They must have sensed that I was about to flee, because one of them yelled. Holes appeared in the concrete at my feet. They shot at me. They really shot at me. They shot at me with real guns. If I'd been just a little closer, they would have hit me. I was too scared to stand. The men got closer, still holding the guns. Run. You have to run. But it was like my body belonged to someone else. It wasn't listening to me. The men kept getting closer. And then... there was another sharp sound. One of the men collapsed to their side. He hit his head on the rubble and stopped moving. The other two waved their guns around, clearly confused as to what just happened.
邪魔だ!
Something dragged me to the ground. And then, more gunshots. Two of them fell backward, still holding their weapons, at almost the exact same time. They died. Right in front of me. Someone had died. I could do nothing more than sit there and watch as a silhouette moved in front of me.
お前、死にたいのか?
I looked up. And the person I saw was... Suzuha.
ほら、いつまでボケっと座っているつもりだ。
お前、殺したのか?
何を生っちょろいこと言ってるんだ、お前。
It was a colder voice than I had ever heard.
お前、鈴葉だよな。
Her iron mask of an expression suddenly changed to surprise. But that was only for a moment. A second later, and the fierceness had returned.
お前、何者だ?
Did she really not?
俺のこと知らないのか?
Did the change in the war line mean that Suzuha and I had never met?
岡部だよ。岡部倫太郎だ。
Oh my god! I didn't expect to go to this part! I did not expect to go to this part, actually. Oh my god, this was like one of the coolest scenes in the anime. Wait, are we going to... No! Wait, am I going to get to that scene? No! Okay, good thing I have these on my desk. If we are actually going to that scene, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, this is gonna be so cool. Oh god, this is so cool. The expression on her face changed again.
岡部、倫太郎? そんな、バカな。
Two pairs of icy footsteps sounded in the darkness.
こっちだ。
After I'd given my name, Suzuha had stared at me suspiciously for a moment. Then she made some kind of call and told me to come with her. She made me wear a blindfold almost the entire time, though. So I had no idea which way I'd gone or where I was.
止まれ。
I did as she said. When I heard the knock, I finally realized we were in front of a door.
君に萌え萌え。
バッキュンキュン。
入れ。
Evidently, that was the password. I could only think of one man who'd choose such a stupid password. I heard the sound of a heavily locked door opening, and at last I saw a dimly lit room in the darkness. The room was piled high with what looked like mechanical junk. Rows of instruments lined the walls. A man was sitting in front of them, looking straight at me.
よかった。やっと目を覚ましたんだな、オカリン。
Who was this guy? How did he know my name? He must have been in his mid-40s. He was a big, broad-shouldered man with a stubbly face. There was a sharp but gentle light in his eyes. I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before.
あなたは。
やだな、僕のこと忘れたの？そりゃいくらなんでも冷たいぜ、オカリン。
Oh my god! Have to say, he looks badass as a 40-year-old. Daru looks so badass as a 40-year-old. The way he talked. And that voice. There was only one person it could be. But that was...
まさか誰か。
The man's face broke into a broad smile.
よかった、覚えててくれて。てっきり忘れられたのかと思ったのだぜ。
ダル、本当にダルなのか？
こんなナイスガイ、僕以外にいるわけないじゃん。な、鈴葉。
せめてもうちょっと痩せてくれれば認めなくもないけど。
そう言うなって。これでも若い頃に比べれば随分と痩せたんだぜ。
Indeed, the Daru in front of me was quite a bit slimmer than the Daru I knew.
というか父さん、少し言葉遣いおかしくない？
僕も久々にこういう話し方したよ。でもオカリンはこの方が話しやすいだろうと思ってさ。
The more pressing issue, though, was his age. He was clearly a middle-aged man. The youngest I could possibly imagine him to be was his early 40s. Oh. And then, I saw a shelf in the corner. I saw a man I didn't know reflected in its glass. It was another man like him, in his 40s. He was staring at me with a gloomy, sunken face. I slowly raised my right hand, and the man raised his left as if copying me.
ダル、一つ教えてくれ。
何でもどうぞ。
今は何年だ？
Daru's smile quickly became something more serious as he answered me.
2036年、世界は戦乱の真っ只中だ。
Oh shit. Daru gave me all the details.
それじゃあ本当に今は2036年なのか？
そういうこと。
It seemed unbelievable, but Daru's appearance, and more than anything my own, made it undeniable. 2036. Suzuha had said that World War III would start sometime in the next 10 years. 5.7 billion people would die, and the population of Tokyo would drop to a tenth of what it once was. After that, the Third World War itself would end, but the chaos would continue, and even in Japan, no, everywhere around the world, battles would continue. Was that what I just seen?
だがどうして俺はそのことを何も覚えていないんだ？
All my memories were of 2011. I had no memories of the past 25 years. My last memory was of erasing Kirisu's memories from Kagari's head.
それに俺は2025年に死ぬと鈴葉から聞かされていた。どうして生きているんだ？
それは私も聞きたい、父さん。
Suzuha chimed in.
私たちはみんなオカリンおじさんは10年前に死んだって聞かされてきたんだ。
Oh. Suzuha leaned over. Oh. Suzuha leaned over him. That's a cool image.
父さん、これはどういうこと？もしかして私たちを騙してたのか？
落ち着け鈴葉、ちゃんと説明するから。
Daru looked at me as if he was remembering old times, and then resumed his explanation.
オカリンは 2011年の1月半ばまでの記憶しかないってことで OK？
ああ、2011年の1月に世界線が変動した。それ以降のことは覚えていない。
I'd gotten 25 years older without realizing it. That fact was starting to eat away at me.
やっぱ体の方に少し問題があるのか、それとも混乱してるのか。今のオカリンの頭の中には2011年の1月末までの記憶がなきゃいけないんだけど。
末？どうして1月末なんだ？
マホタンがオカリンの記憶をデータとして保存したのが2011年1月末のことだからさ。
Yato-san saved my memories?
アマデウスの研究の役に立ちたいから記憶サンプルを取ってくれってオカリンからマホタンに頼んだらしいじゃん。
俺がアマデウスの。
And then, I realized something incredible.
ということは、もしかして今の俺の脳の中は。
そう、お察しの通り、今のオカリンの脳内にある記憶はその時の2011年にデータ化された記憶なんだ。
Digitized memories inside my head.
ちょっと待って父さん、話が全く見えない。そもそもどうしてオカリンおじさんが生きてるの？おじさんは2025年に死んだって言ってただろ？
死んだよ、事実上はね。
事実上？
タイムマシン開発競争はその頃がピークだったんだ。各国のいろんな機関がマキセ・クリスが残した論文と彼女の記憶を欲していた。でもその時点でマキセ・クリスの遺産は全部ストラト4の手に渡ってたんだよね。
Stratful.
ただ連中をもってしても論文の中身を確かめることはどうしてもできなかった。ロックを解除できなかったんでね。ちなみにそのロックを開発したのは2010年の僕。そこでストラト4はマキセ・クリスをよく知る人物を捕まえて情報を聞き出そうとしたんだ。
それが俺か。
連中はオカリンの記憶からマキセ・クリスについての情報を取り出すためにあらゆる手を使ったらしい。僕たちが助け出した時にはオカリンの精神はボロボロだった。まともに生きるための能力さえ失ってた。回復する見込みのない死んだのとほぼ変わらない状態だったんだ。
それじゃあ肉体は生きていたってこと？
そういうこと。これはオカリン自身の入れ知恵でもあった。オカリンは自分が狙われてることに危機感を覚えてたからね。
でもせめて私にくらいは教えてくれてもよかったはずだ。
敵を騙すにはまず味方からって言うだろ。
そんな。
Suzuha seemed a little depressed. It must have come as a shock that her dad didn't trust her.
そんな顔するな、鈴葉。このことを知ってたのはワルキューレの中でもごく限られた一部の人間だけだ。
I knew the name Valkyrie. Suzuha had talked about it a lot in 2010. It was the name of Daru and Suzuha's resistance organization. Alright, what is resistance? An armed group of irregular fighters who oppose the government or the members of that group. The difference between a resistance fighter and a terrorist is a very slim one, and that is resistance.
話を続けよう。オカリンは心を破壊されたせいで生きるための能力を失っていた。放っておいたら 肉体さえ死んでしまう状態だった。そこで事実を知る一部の人間の手によってこことは別の施設でずっと面倒を見てきたんだ。
From 2025 to 2036. 11 years. Without letting anyone find out. You needed nutrients to keep your body alive. And since I was in bed the whole time, my joints would have gotten stiff, and friction against the bed would have caused my skin to split open. Someone had watched over me the whole time to keep that from happening.
もしかしてマユリが。
マユシだけじゃない。フェイリスタンやルカシ、それにマホタンもだ。
Holy shit! Wow! They were alive. Oh, wait! So this is different from the anime, because in the anime, Mayuri was dead. So this is definitely different. Mayuri was dead in the anime. So she's alive in this timeline. They were alive. Mayuri, Ferris, and Lukako. Even in this terrifying world, they were still alive, and still looking after me. They had been for years.
なあ、ダル。どうして俺は今になって目を覚ましたんだろうか。
My memories had been digitized in 2011. If they'd known those memories existed, they could have downloaded them into me a lot earlier, right?
それは単純な話さ。オカリンの記憶データはつい最近までどこにあるかわからなかったんだよね。つうか、オカリンとマキセ・クリスの記憶データはストラト4がずっと保管してたんだけど、その保管場所がずっとわからなかったわけ。見つけたのは半月前。どこにあったと思う？驚くぜ。
どこだ？
東大元暮らし。大学だよ、僕たちの。
Oh! Interesting.
まさか東京電機大学か。
その地下に連中の支部があったんだよ。つっても今はほとんど廃墟になってるけどな。
Stratfo had a base in the basement of Tokyo Denki.
で、半月前にオカリンの記憶データをサルベージした僕たちは早速脳にデータをダウンロードした。
But for the next 10 days, I hadn't woken up. And just as they were about to give up, I'd finally awoken. After 25 years. 25 years. I stared at my hands. They were so thin, I could almost see the bone. And I could see veins popping out of them. The face reflected in the glass was unhealthy and wrinkled. My hair was starting to turn white too.
起きたら25年後だったなんて。とんだ浦島太郎だな。
I don't get it.
気持ちの整理がつかないのも無理ないさ。
Of course, it was a shock. But the most shocking thing was...
この記憶は一度データになったものなんだな。
My memories since I was a kid. My memories of that summer. My memories with Kurtsu. All of them had been transformed to zeros and ones. Could you still say that I was a person? Could I still be called human?
でもそれを言うならマキセ氏のタイムリープマシン技術だって同じじゃん。オカリンはあれ何度も経験したはずっしょ。
He was right. But even if I knew it in my head, it still felt strange. I'd been cut off from 25 years of time. It had all been forgotten and left behind in a digital world. It felt like it had been stolen from me.
私はやっぱり納得いかない。
そう言うなって鈴葉。
父さんはいい。そうやって 世界中を騙していたんだから。
だから仕方なかったんだってば。
Deceived, huh? I had been deceived too. I had been told I was fated to die in 2025. And that even in the beta world line, that wouldn't change. But no matter how it had happened, I was alive right now. Even in the past, I had been deceived by the future. And it wasn't just me. Suzuha and everyone else. The whole world had been deceived.
世界が騙される。
Oh, is he? He's figuring it all out. Oh, he's figuring it out. He's figuring out what he needs to do soon. Oh, this is so exciting. And then there was a knock on the outside of the door. There was a visitor, it seemed. Suzuha got close to the door.
君に萌え萌え。バキュンキュン。
Oh? After hearing the world's most ridiculous password, Suzuha unlocked the door. It opened, and a young girl came in.
太郎おじちゃん、鈴葉お姉ちゃん、トゥットゥルー。
It's Kagari.
カガリ、ここには用があるとき以外は来るなと言ってるだろう。
Kagari? This child was a young Kagari?
ごめんなさい。でも、ママたちみんな出かけて帰ってこないんだもん。
まあまあ、そう目くじら立てることもないだろう。
また父さんがそうやって甘やかす。こういうことはきちんとしておかなきゃダメなんだ。
The way they interacted hadn't changed in 25 years. I ignored them and looked at Kagari. And she seemed to notice me, too.
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
おじさんは誰？
俺か？俺は。そうだな。君のママの友達だ。
I hesitated for a moment, but decided not to give her my name.
まゆりママの？
ああ、そうだ。
へえ。
ママは優しいか？
うん。
ママのこと好きか？
うん、大好き。
そうか。
I could see the love she felt for her mother radiating from her face. Mayuri must have raised her with a lot of love too. She'd been raised with everything Mayuri could give her. But after this, she was going to go to the past. She would be all alone in the past, separated from her beloved Mayuri. And then they would catch her and use her as a test subject.
そういえば父さん、まゆ姉さんには伝えたのか？おじさんが目覚めたこと。
あ、いかん。すっかり忘れてた。
Daru!
早く教えてやらんと。
Daru! Daru! That's pretty important! He took out what looked like a small wireless radio.
こちら、バレルタイター。応答せよ。こちら、バレルタイター。
こちら、スターダストシェイクハンドです。どうぞ。
The voice I heard from the speaker was definitely Mayuri's. It felt a lot calmer than what I was used to, but it was definitely Mayuri. Wait, what was Stardust Handshake?
かがりちゃん、誰おじさんのところにいるの？うん。おじさんは大事なお仕事があるから、あんまり邪魔しちゃダメだよ。はーい。
そんなことよりまゆし、スペシャルなニュースだ。
スペシャルなニュース？
ああ、心して聞いてくれ。オカリンが目覚めた。
本当にオカリンが？どうしたのまゆし。オカリンが
もしかして岡部さん、目を覚ましたんですか？
オカリン起きたのにゃ。
I heard one voice I knew after another coming from the radio. The voices didn't seem to have changed all that much.
そういうわけで3人ともすぐに戻ってきた方がいい。まゆし、どうしたまゆし。
ダメ。まゆしは嬉しさのあまり涙ぐんで声も出ないみたい。
まあ、無理もないよな。オカリンの復活を一番望んでたのはまゆしなんだからさ。
Mary.
とにかくみんな早く戻った方がいい。
わかった。食料を受け取ったらすぐに戻るわ。
Everyone else was overjoyed, but I saw that Suzaha's expression was clouded.
どうした鈴葉。
なんでまゆ姉さんたち食料調達に出ている？今日は予定になかったはずだ。
え？
そんなはずない。確かに今日だって昨日の夜遅くに連絡が。
No!
まずい、それは罠だ。みんな、すぐに戻って。
A scream from the speaker cut her off.
どうした？何があった？襲撃です。敵襲だ。くそ。マイルちゃん、フィリーさん、逃げて。ここは僕が。
No! What's happening? No! No!
でもそんなことしたらルカニャンが。
大丈夫ですから。早く。
No!
父さん。
Suzaha started running, and Daru followed after.
待ってくれダル、俺も行く。
でもオカリン、その体じゃ。
行かせてくれ頼む。
He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly nodded and offered to me his shoulder. He was a little thinner than he was young. He was a little thinner than he was young, but his shoulder was still gigantic. I put my weight on it as we followed Suzaha. Are you just leaving Kagari there? I think they just left Kagari. When we finally got there, I saw several silhouettes. I had been mentally preparing myself for a fierce battle, but the whole place was dead quiet. There were several men dressed like soldiers lying on the ground nearby. In front of them was Suzaha. Kneeling next to her were two women. And at their feet. No.
ルカ子。
No. I could tell at a glance. The person lying there was Lukako.
オカリン。
The two women looked up at me.
オカリン。ルカニャンが。
Mary and Ferris both seemed beaten down by the passage of time.
岡部さん。
God fucking damn it. His features had grown more gallant, but his face was still soft and feminine. Lukako looked at me with hazy eyes.
ルカ子、
本当に岡部さん
ルカ子、俺だ。
その呼び方、本物のオカベス。
A single trail of blood dripped from Lukako's mouth. His outfit was stained with blood over his right breast, and the blood dripped over onto the ground. I knew immediately that the wound was fatal.
よかった。さっきの話は嘘じゃなかったんですね。
ああ、お前たちのおかげでこうして目覚めることができた。ありがとう。
Lukako's hand reached up toward the sky, as if he was looking for something. Maybe he couldn't even see me anymore. When I grabbed his hand, he was very cold.
オカベ、
どうした？
僕、やりました。
ああ。
京馬さんに教えてもらった静止座流の心へのおかげで今までまゆりちゃんやみんなを守ってこれました。
God damn it! Oh, the anime was so right to adapt this scene. Fuck!
ああ。
僕、仲間になれましたよね。
Oh, you always were! You always were!
皆さんの本当の仲間になれましたよね。
You always have been.
バカ！お前は最初からずっと俺たちの仲間だ。
Lukako reached out a cold hand and touched my cheek, and smiled a dazzling smile.
嬉しいな。
That was all he said. And then, the touch on my cheek disappeared.
ルカ子。ルカ子！
ルカ。
The cold hand fell to the rubble-covered ground.
あ、あ、あ、
and never moved again.
なんてことだ。
よかった。ルカ君はオカリンとずっと会いたがっていたから、最後に会えたのは本当によかった。
Glad? She was glad? After this? Mayuri's words made me realize how hellish the last 25 years that I'd slept through must have been.
漆原ルカ、あなたはとても立派に戦いました。私たちはあなたに救われました。どうか安らかに。
こんなのあんまりだろ。
まゆしは
泣き疲れて眠ったよ。
無理もないよな。まゆしはルカシとずっと仲良かったから。
ルカ兄さん。
Lukako was dead. He died protecting Mary and Ferris. In my mind, his death overlapped with Mayuri's. Mayuri's hands got colder, and so did Lukako's. It was the same no matter where I went. Mary, Lukako, and Kursu. Everyone dies.
あの戦争をきっかけにたくさんの人間が死んだ。小学校の友達も中学高校の友達も大学の友達も親戚も先生も知り合いも大人も子供もそれから大切な人もたくさんの本当にたくさんの人間が死んだんだ。
I knew this was coming. At least, I thought I knew. If I didn't reach Steins Gate, if I stayed in the Beta World Line, the world would eventually burn. I'd heard it 1,000 times, and I thought I knew what the future would be like. But in the end, it was just a story about the distant future. It didn't feel real at all. I could only imagine it. All I had were vague, unrealistic ideas. All the thousands of nightmares I experienced. I thought nothing could be worse than that. But when I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and felt it with my own skin, I realized that everything I thought was wrong. Piles of bodies, wild dogs devouring human corpses, dead soldiers, the smell of burning flesh, the smell of rotting organs, the warmth of Lukako's blood in my hands, the warmth of Mary's blood, the warmth of Kursu's blood. I thought that if nothing else, I'd managed to save Mayuri. I let Kursu die, turned my eyes away from reality, and told myself that at least I'd save Mayuri and the others. But in the end, I hadn't saved anyone. Even if I had, I'd only saved myself. I was the only person I managed to save. No one else. Not Kursu. Not Mayuri. Not Kagari. Not Lukako. I hadn't saved anyone.
クリスをアマデウスの呪縛から解放してやってくれ。
Oh! Alright. Alright. This is a good place to have a cliffhanger. I'm gonna be honest here. This would be a good place to have a cliffhanger. Naru telling Okabe to release Kurisu.
Okay.